Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross. And there's approximately 1,000 of them. Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. But, okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa.
We need to find out. I don't know. Okay.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One,
What
perhaps
are you
zero.
talking about?
Mr. President,
Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet.
That's my question now.
Let's go.
thank you so much. President Trump, and it's Lawson from ESCA in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know.
But you know that
To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it isn't?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a report from President Ramaphosa?
Your reaction to those videos, Mr.
President Trump, would you
Well, I think the videos are so. No. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land, and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now, we're going to talk about it, but this is a tremendous, look, this is a story recent. These are all people that recently got killed. And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are and you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. What that idiot talks about, after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about it.
Well,
and this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States,
those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you about. Let me just add quickly, you know, the criminality that we are experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability, and that we are willing to talk to you about. Let me just add quickly, you know, the criminality that we are experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability. And in one of our areas in South Africa, we're using US technology, which is able to, in many ways, identify where shootings are happening and all that. And I'd like to talk about that, because there is support that we can get from you as the United States to help us deal with all these acts of criminality. And that is what I believe partnership is all about. And we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges. So I'd like us to discuss it, and of course outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a really good discussion that will lead to good outcomes.
Are there any other further punitive measures that could be in place should you not be satisfied that South Africa is fixing some of the very bad things, in inverted commas, that you tweeted are happening?
Well, there are a lot of bad things happening in many countries, but this in particular has been very, very bad, very bad. And because of we're going to have the whole world watching in another short period of time, because you have the G20, and that's a big deal. And it seems like, I want you to look good. I don't want you to look bad. But we have hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to come into our country because they feel they're going to be killed and their land is going to be confiscated. And you do have laws that were passed that gives you the right to confiscate land for no payment. You can take away land for no payment.
I want to clarify that, because we have a constitution. Our constitution guarantees and protects the sanctity of tenure of land ownership. And that constitution protects all South Africans with regards to land ownership. However, we do say, because we've got to deal with the past, the government, and as your government also has the right to expropriate land.
And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that? They're taking people's land away, and in many cases those people are being executed, and in many cases it's not the government that's doing it, it's people that kill them and then take their land, and nothing happens to them. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country. They're also going to Australia in a smaller number. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country, and they're white farmers, and they feel that they're going to die in South Africa, and it's a bad thing. Yeah.
What can South Africa do? What concessions would you like to see them make to improve relations with the United States? Then I have one more for President Ramaphosa afterwards.
Well, we just spoke about, I got them a very, very complex machine, 150 of them. I was asked by the president if it could help, and I did that. And, I have great feeling for all countries. I deal with all countries, but I have a great feeling for South Africa because I have friends. I have a couple of friends, a few friends here today. I have many friends from South Africa, but many of those friends are not, they can't go back. I have Elon is from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved, That's all I have to do, get him into another thing. But Elon happens to be from South Africa. This is what Elon wanted. He actually came here on a different subject, sending rockets to Mars, okay? He likes that better. He likes that subject better. But Elon is from South Africa, and I don't want to talk to him about that. I don't think it's fair to him.
That's right.
But I will say that people are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated, and in many cases they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have? Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. And those trucks or cars are paying their respects to all of those dead people on a Sunday morning. That's a rough thing to explain away. And the problem we have, and the way, you know, a correct and a fair media exposes things. But we have a very corrupt media. They won't even report this. If this were the other way around, it would be the biggest story. Now, I will say, apartheid, terrible. That was the biggest story. That was reported all the time. This is sort of the opposite of apartheid. What's happening now is never reported. Nobody knows about it. All we know is we're being inundated with people, with white farmers from South Africa. And it's a big problem. Marco Rubio was telling me he's never seen anything like it. The numbers of people that want to leave South Africa because they feel they're going to be dead very soon. Yes, Brian, go.
If I could just answer the question, 72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need to replace those farmers.
You know, I'd like my Minister of Agriculture, who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that you've just raised. John?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem in South Africa. I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require a different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa, Umkhonto we Sizwe under Mr. Zuma and the Economic Freedom Fighters under Mr. Malema. Now the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government, because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that is why this government, working together, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union buildings, because then South Africa's future would be...
So you denounced that type of language in the video that we saw?
Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless, it's valueless, and they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
We discussed USAID, the devastating impact the cuts are having across the African continent.
You know, it's devastating, and hopefully a lot of people are going to start spending a lot of money. And I've talked to other nations. We want them to chip in and spend money too. And we've spent a lot, and it's a tremendous problem going on in many countries. A lot of problems going on. The United States always gets the request for money. Nobody else helps, as you know. Europe doesn't help. Europe hasn't given anything. All they do is sue our companies. You know, they sue Apple, and they sue all of our companies. Apple had to pay $17 billion on a nonsense lawsuit. Very unfair. But we're going to always be there to help.
Should rise to South African broadcasting if this Afrikaner resettlement issue is resolved? We're going to go into a room after this, you guys are going to talk. If it is resolved, what is the potential for the future-looking relationships?
It's fantastic. It's got to be resolved. It should be resolved. It's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa, so it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
Is there potential for the relationship moving forward?
I hope so. That's why I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for my health. I'm here to No, I'd like to see. I have friends. I can tell you, Ernie Els and Retief Goosen, they feel so strongly they wanted to be here on behalf of South Africa, not on behalf of me. And, you know, they said, can we be here for this? Because they love the country. Ernie, do you guys want to say a couple of words? I hate to put you in. This is tougher than sinking a 3-footer. They've staked many 3-footers.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thanks for the honor of being here. We've known each other a long time. We have spoken. You know, we're proud South Africans. I still have my South African passport. We travel with this passport, you know, and I got my visa here. So, you know, but we want to see things get better in our own country. That's the bottom line. It's been 35 years since the transition. President Ramaphosa was right in the middle of the transition time in 1990 and before that. So it's been 35 years of ANC government, and I know there's a lot of anger, you know, through the transition. There was a lot of stuff happening in the apartheid days. You know, we grew up in the apartheid era, but I don't think two wrongs makes a right. You know, President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred, you know, and really unified our nation through sport. You know, we won the Rugby World Cup in '95.
4 times.
We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. You know, we won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration, and see our way forward, because we still want to see our country flourish. You know, we've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Farmers are getting involved in local municipalities, trying to rebuild some of the infrastructure that's been decaying for a long time. So there's a lot of coexistence going on in health from a lot of areas. But I feel we need the US to push this thing through. We've got a great ally we can have, the US. It's always been an ally of South Africa for a very long time. Even in the days of the war, up in Angola, you guys helped us. So very important for us to have your support and get the change we need.
When did you do that well? You might have done that even better than he plays golf. It's almost impossible. Johan, please.
Sorry, Mr. President, if you had to wind all of those places properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble rouser. Number one for over 10 years. Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US SpaceX is the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. And he's right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Graafrenet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Barnes many years ago, the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. But she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. And I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've again been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their #1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the floor.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33, what are these guys? We've got the equivalents there. But we need your help, sir. And we need technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really in investments. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here, to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And we are able to grow our South African company. Your support, and so that we're also able to address all these society.
That's a lot. By the way, two's a lot. A lot of tournaments you went to. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane.
Yep.
And there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going, my brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer, and at the end they, without farmers there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming, they don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food.
In recent times, historical facts about the brutalities black African slaves faced have surfaced. People have come to know how black male slaves were dehumanized and treated less than humans. They were chained and forced to work in plantations, and when they did not, their arms and legs were cut. For black women slaves, the world was a manifestation of the worst dream, where they were sexually abused and treated as breeding machines. But one age group often gets ignored: black children slaves. History books exclude them and accounts of how they were treated. In this video, we will explain what painful was done to black children slaves during the era of slavery and the slave trade. Their story is of pain, deprivation, and the worst form of degradation.
The Black History Archives.
They were not considered fully productive laborers. Trade. Their story is of pain, deprivation, and children received smaller rations compared to adults, since they were not considered fully productive laborers. Masters, on the one hand, had an interest in the survival of children as potential future workers and assets. However, there existed a constant struggle between the delayed economic benefits of their future labor and the daily costs of their care. Most societies formed through the transatlantic slave trade relied on the continuous importation of native Africans to maintain their enslaved populations. In contrast, the United States saw the slave population sustain itself through slave breeding. By 1808, when the transatlantic slave trade officially ended in the USA, less than 1 million slaves had been imported into the country. After 1807, the majority of illicit slave trading involved children. By 1860, the population had surged to 3.9 million, with 56% under the age of 20. This shows the large number of slaves who grew up within the United States slave system. Slave children were seen as valuable assets by their masters and society, with their monetary value and future potential investments. While it might seem logical to protect and nurture these assets for economic reasons, the reality was quite different. The living standards of slave children were largely determined by the benevolence of their masters. Experiences varied greatly, with some children claiming they worked continuously through their formative years. The entire slave community had to share responsibility for raising slave children. Typically, mothers were expected to return to work, and babies were cared for by the very young and the elderly. There were invariably many children to care for, often over long hours. Feeding children on plantations could be harsh, with sparse provisions leading to quarrels over meals. In some cases, it was reported that black slave children were fed like pigs. The food provided was often referred to as pot liquor, described as a vegetable-based broth. Malnutrition was not uncommon, leading to the characteristic signs of shiny bodies, plump bellies, and glistening ribs in some cases. Clothing for slave children was basic, typically consisting of smock-like garments worn by both boys and girls. The clothing of child slaves who contributed relatively little labor, was not a priority. It was not uncommon to see naked children on plantations, and torn or lost clothing was seldom replaced. As children took on fetal work, boys might receive trousers and a shirt, while girls were provided with dresses. Shoes were rare, and when available, they were often homemade moccasin-style footwear. Slave quarters varied widely, with visitors describing them as huts or hovels, or occasionally romanticizing them as cottages. The dimensions were often cramped, with limited furnishings and basic amenities. Children often did not live in traditional families, as the lack of recognition of slave marriages and family ties by owners led to children being placed with adults other than their parents. The labor performed by enslaved children holds particular significance as it serves as the fundamental reason for their enslavement. The ages at which these young individuals were put to work varied significantly from one plantation to another, but it seems that most owners prefer a gradual introduction to labor. There have been some accounts reporting that some toddlers were working in the fields alongside their mothers, while the oldest age at which work began was 21. Here's a reminder to please support us so we can make more videos for you. My tasks assigned to younger children did not appear to be gender specific. These tasks included activities like fetching water for the fields, tending to animals in gardens, kitchen and household chores, and caring for younger children. Some boys were even allowed to learn trades such as blacksmithing or carpentry from a very early age. The fear of being sold, or the mere threat of it, was a constant presence in the life of a child born into slavery. While eventually, several states enacted laws to prevent the sale of children under the age of 10 away from their families, it was common for children to be sold alongside their mothers. This frequently occurred when the master passed away and their possessions, including slaves, were divided among the family. In the early days of slavery, and less frequently in later years, children designated for sale would often be paraded naked on the auction block as prospective buyers scrutinized them meticulously. They examined teeth and bones and searched for any signs of weakness or abnormalities. No slave
Bless us, O Lord, for these gifts. Guide us with thy infinite wisdom to find the ship's course and, please, protect us from the sea. Amen.
Thank you. Weather, Captain? As the Lord, Reverend Elm, this is our first autumn crossing.
Ah, Providence willed it.
Don't thank Providence, Reverend. Mr. Crusoe is our benefactor.
Oh, no. Providence it is, sir, though it wears Mr. Crusoe's face. The ship carries Christ's spirit into Africa.
Yes, Crusoe? Mr. Are you sure?
Positive.
Really? If those pens are crammed, it's $25 for a buck. It's $10 for a girl. Look, I like your ambition. And when your ambition makes me money, I like it even more.
Then give me the ship.
Come on back, peaceful.
Whoa, easy now.
I'm gonna be free or die.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
You have made it 100 miles to freedom. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Paradigm.
Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind, and I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad.
And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone, and I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Shine stars fit on the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Here we go.
When God made man, He made a spirit. It was His plan that we live blessed. The tempter came, we were distracted. The tempter came, and we fell. We were deemed to live a life that's beautiful.
Hey, tell them how it is, y'all.
Our family's blessed.
Our family's blessed.
Finances blessed.
Our finances blessed.
Our mind and spirit.
Our mind and spirit.
And our bodies blessed.
And our bodies blessed.
We were tempted.
We were tempted.
And we fell.
And we fell. But guess what?
Jesus came.
Jesus came.
Now all is well.
Now all is well. So what are you waiting for?
Let's get back to Eden. Live on top of the world.
Tell somebody. Say.
Let's get back to Eden. Live on top of the world.
Oh, you can sing it.
Let's get back to Eden. Live on top of the world.
Everybody, sing it.
Let's get back to
They're right here. Come on, y'all. Let's open up your mouth. Come on. Eden, where you at?